Today I'm going to make some sweet and sour chicken in a little bit of a different style than what I'm used to seeing from most Chinese American restaurants, which is usually like a breaded thing and kind of like a red sticky sauce. I think some of the foundations of the sauce will be similar. I'm cooking out of Kenji Lopez's wok cookbook. And the last couple recipes I made have been pretty heavily influenced by that. Now I'm thinking about the idea of cooking my way through that entire book. Today I'm going to use some chicken thigh, which is like a fattier dark meat usually. It's also a little cheaper and the flavor's good. There's a few recipes I've seen that call for chicken breast, so I might be interested in doing some of that. But I went to Costco, which usually has really good value, and they had like this 3-pack of thighs. So that's what I bought. Right now I'm just trimming off some of the extra fat pieces or the stringy pieces that'll cook more unevenly. I'm going to try and kind of cut everything into uniform shapes so that they cook at about the same speed. So what I'm doing firstly is I'm just kind of cutting some of the extra fat off, some of the stringiness as well. And then we're going to try a new technique today called velveting, which is something I haven't done before. The idea of velveting, it's kind of in lieu of like a traditional marinade that you would see on a chicken. It does have some of the same ingredients, but basically when you velvet something, at least as far as my understanding after reading this chapter in this book, is that you are kind of like parboiling your meat before you actually prepare to stir fry it. And what that allows you to do is it provides like a protective coating around the meat, which stops like a more quick evaporation of the meat, of the juice from inside the meat from occurring. It also provides a surface that allows sauces to like more fully adhere to the outside of your meat. So it should make a difference as far as the overall finished flavoring and prevent a little bit of, I guess, burning or the Maillard reaction, which is like when things turn brown in color and kind of like get that seared appearance. I think it will stop some of that. So the juices will be retained inside the meat. So we'll have like juicier finished product and like a more evenly sauced finished product. And so it's a combination of things like baking soda and some egg white, I think is what goes into that, is what I had read. That looks good there. So I'm going to take some of this extra chicken fat and throw this in my trash can. And then we're going to cut this chicken into strips. Not afraid of like a little bit of fat in the meat. I think there's a lot of flavor there. But just some of like the bigger pieces that almost feel like tendony, or like they're like a little extra chewy. It doesn't like really melt away. It feels kind of tough. Like a little bit of gristle maybe is a good way to describe it. Trying to cut some of that off. Then a lot of these little flyaways, like this is, I'm not sure what that's going to do in a wok. It just feels like it's going to burn really quickly. I usually try and keep the meat cutting board separate from the rest of the cook, and then I try and kind of wash meat covered things in this smaller side because I feel like it helps kind of keep things cleaner, and then I'll spray that down at the end of the cook. Also got my knife here, which I'm going to use for cutting other things as well. So some things that go into the velveting solution. Flipping through this book, this is Kenji's cookbook, The Wok, which has inspired me a lot. So we're going to be cooking out of that, and we might do quite a bit more cooking out of that. So it looks like we're going to use some Shaoxing wine, which I have over here. This is a new bottle that I just ordered. This is Chinese cooking wine, also called Shaoxing wine. And it looks like it's gonna be about 4 teaspoons of this, so we'll just kind of eyeball that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, probably around there. That might have been a little overkill. When I pour, I don't like really measure in spoons anymore. I just kind of eyeball how much that's gonna be as we go in. So it looks about half a teaspoon of baking soda. So we'll go with a little bit of that. Probably about there would be my guess. 2 teaspoons of cornstarch, which I keep up here. That one I might just grab a little spoon. The cornstarch kind of makes like a breaded exterior, slightly. It's not like a full proper breading, but something that sauce can stick to. And then 1 large egg. Got some Costco eggs here. If I'm not mistaken, I think it's the egg white that I want. Yeah, 1 large egg white. So little bit of the yellow in there, but not a lot of it. I could save this for like an omelet to like rich it up, my scrambled eggs later, but I don't have any plans to do that. Get some of the egg off my hands here. So we've got egg white. We could add a little bit of salt as well. Trying to do my turns a little bit slower because I know some people have been feeling motion sick as feedback that I've gotten. All right, so this is all mixed in and now we're just gonna kind of mash it up. So this is gonna mean all of this is gonna get incorporated. It's gonna have a pretty unattractive appearance when it's done. I saw someone refer to it as like almost like a chicken milkshake. You're just kind of, it's like a squishy like chicken goo. Like it doesn't look the most appealing, but it's gonna cook off. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna heat the wok up with some boiling water in it, and then we're gonna pass the chicken through it for about 30 seconds, 30 to 60 seconds. That's gonna kind of cook everything that's in there. And then we'll set this to the side for now and then give my hands a wash. We'll put some of this back, although I'll probably need the cornstarch later actually because we'll probably make a little slurry. Let's chop up some of our vegetables that we're going to use here. Just spray and clean a couple spots that got some chicken juice. So we're gonna do a combination of vegetables. We're gonna use bell pepper and onion, which is kind of classic finding, and a sweet and sour chicken. And what I'm used to seeing is usually like slightly bigger pieces, like not quite an inch. We're kind of close to that, so we're going to go for some bigger chunks today than what we've maybe done in some of the other dishes that we've cooked. That might be a little bit big. Let's go with some of these like slightly bigger chunks. I think will be kind of interesting. Some of this pith, this kind of like white, has a little bit of bitterness. So I usually try and leave that behind. There's ways to like cut the bell pepper where that part is kind of like left in the core, but I'm just trying to not have a waste. I would ideally like to use as much of it as I can. Also, I find that like cutting a bell pepper this way is harder, like it gets a little slippery, but this kind of has like a little texture to it, which is easier to cut. So I always like to cut my bell peppers kind of with the skin side down. I think that makes a big difference. We're gonna do one green and one red. Kind of see like some of like the piths all kind of got left behind on this cut, which is kind of nice. There's a little bit here. I didn't quite get it all. We'll try and do our onion cuts in about the same size. So I usually cut the little tips off the onions, but I leave the root piece together because that stops the whole thing from kind of sliding away from you when you're cutting it. And if you look at how an onion is kind of layered, you'll see that like these pieces are all going to run long ways if I cut, but still hold together. So if I want like wider squares, like I'll just cut them a little bit bigger like that, instead of really closely together. So now you'll see like it's all kind of held together. None of it's going to fall apart. And then I'm going to do one cut this way. So that way we'll get like a couple pieces of it. So you see we're kind of ending up with bigger squares than we would have otherwise. And try and get them closer. These are a little bit smaller than my bell peppers, but the goal would be to kind of get everything close. And then for these ones that weren't cut all the way through, you can just go finish them after the fact. We'll do the same thing on the other side. See if I can't break things up just a little bit so that they don't kind of cook in big chunks right next to each other. Then we'll cut some aromatics. So we're gonna grab some ginger, a couple garlic cloves, so we have one super garlic clove and one regular one. We'll cut this end's like a little bit gross, but shouldn't affect the rest of it. Looks pretty okay. And today I'm going to do something a little bit different in that I'm gonna chop the aromatics to be a little less minced. I think that will give a few like bigger flavor pockets potentially, but less of like an intense flavor. I think that when you mince something down, it creates a ton of surface area because all of those little bits will get contacted with the oil and start releasing their smells and flavors. So you end up getting like a stronger taste across the board. This is maybe being a little heavy-handed with the ginger, but we're gonna do it anyway. See how it is. I like ginger. It's like one of my favorite flavors. So we're gonna try and do the ginger in slices today. And kind of the same thing that we're talking about with having less of like a strong flavor profile. It should be a little more subtle. And we'll try and kind of cut them into little like matchsticks, I think is. Alright, so we've got aromatics, we've got chicken, got some of my garbage here. And then next we'll make sauce. The sauce is going to have some sweet in it and some sour in it. So the sweetness is going to come from pineapple juice and ketchup. The book calls for canned pineapple, which I would have done, but it just so happens that my wife bought fresh cut up pineapple from the market. So we're gonna use some of that. And then I bought some additional pineapple juice in a can that we can use. So we'll give that a go. So let's see what it says for making the sauce. This is what I'm unfamiliar with, so I am actually reading off of a recipe, but I imagine if I make it again, I won't need to do that. So sauce is going to have juice from an 8 to 10 can of pineapple with chunks or rings. This is 6 ounces, which is probably fine, because my guess would be that the fruit would probably displace quite a bit of that volume area in an 8-ounce can, 8 to 10 ounce can. So we'll do 6 ounces there. And then it wants 3 tablespoons of ketchup and 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar or white distilled vinegar. So I do have apple cider vinegar here. I also have ketchup here. So we'll give that a shake. 3 tablespoons of ketchup is probably 1, 2, about there probably. And then do 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar. 1, 2, roughly. I'll put these things away. And then the pineapple juice has sweetness, but it does call for 2 tablespoons of sugar, and 1 teaspoon of light soy sauce, or shoyu. So I have regular soy sauce here and sugar here. About 1, 2. And 1 teaspoon of light soy. It's a very small amount. I guess I do have a teaspoon here, so it's got some ginger skin on the back of it. Wipe that off. We don't need that in the marinade. All right. Let's mix this up. Try to not spill it over the back of the bowl. It's kind of a full one. So we got our sauce mixed up. We're going to start moving some stuff onto our tray that we'll take outside for preparing. I'm going to put that sauce separate because I feel like it's going to be prone to spilling. So we've got the chicken, which will be velveted. We have the veggies. We have the aromatics. We left the cornstarch out. We'll do a little slurry like we talked about. Looks like we had a piece of dog hair in the cornstarch, which is Bernie's mountain dog problems. You know, you know. Give that a little stir. I'm also going to look to see I have cashews by chance, because I think that would be good. But I might not use banana chips. I'm actually going to skip cashews because these are unsalted, unroasted. I think I would want roasted ones, and I'm not going to take the time to roast my own, but that's okay, it's optional. Last piece I'm going to do is cut up my pineapple, and I will add that in. So let's get maybe one more little metal bowls. Go one more piece, I don't want to overdo it. We'll get the sauce as well. The oil in my pocket. Then a finished product bowl to transfer to. And then once I've cooked this chicken, I'm going to put this onto here to dry. And that's going to allow like any water and steam to come off and kind of dry it out so it doesn't just get really soupy when I throw it back in. So I'm actually going to change my GoPro battery out, and then we'll be back and we'll do the actual cooking. I'll see you soon. All right, so we're going to get ready to cook the chicken. We're going to start with the velveting technique. So we'll let this rip. We'll get this to a boil real quick. Stir the sauce up while we wait. Then I'm also going to get this spider tool, which is the name of this kind of like spoon tool that transfers things from hot water or oil out. You kind of use it to strain things up and then drain the liquid out. Try and stir this around a little bit just to break up the pieces. The heat from that wok is no joke. I can feel the heat shooting out the side there. the velveted chicken out. It's kind of like a pale color to it, which is kind of interesting. Again, my understanding is that this just kind of pre-prepares the chicken. It cooks it a little bit, not like fully all the way through. We'll still finish it in the wok as a stir fry. And by laying it out on this tray, I think it allows it to kind of evaporate all that hot steam that's coming off. And now I'll use my chicken water here to water my poison oak plant down there, you know, which I've been cultivating. And we'll just do a quick rinse out of this, and then we'll start up the rest of the cook. Watch out, guys. Turn down the heat a little bit and add our aromatics in there. Those go super quick, even like 10 to 15 seconds. Let's grab this chicken, put this back in here too. So we're going to crank the heat and toss this all together. smells really sweet. You can really smell the pineapple, maybe a little bit of the ketchup and the acid. Stir up this cornstarch slurry, which should kind of give everything a thick and glossy finish. All right, and I think that we are pretty much there. So some of the liquid from the sauce has been reduced off. And I've got a plate, so let's plate it up. Got some rice that I made the other day. Looks good. It's gonna be hot. Yeah, that's good. It's less of a flavor punch than some of the other things I've made, but the sweetness carries through. The chicken's definitely a little lighter, probably because of the lack of dark soy sauce. That's so nice. Why are we barking? Good boy. Good girl, Maisie. All right, see you later.